Hi Virgo, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carole and this is going to be a general reading for you for March 2026. And if you're new to my channel, I want to welcome you and let me know, comment below and tell me that you found me. And let me know how the reading was for you. And if you're coming back for another reading, I want to thank you for supporting me. Now, as some of you may know, I do offer personal readings, and I'm also a shamanic practitioner. And so if some of you are interested in receiving a personal reading or a shamanic healing, and I actually offer a 15-minute consultation, usually turns into a 20-minute, 25-minute one, and it's free, and we talk about shamanic healing and if it would be a good fit for you, and there's no pressure whatsoever. I don't bother you after it. You know, it's up to you. I want you to want this healing. And so both of those are on my website called carolecares.com, and it's with an E, Carole with an E. And you'll find all you need to know about booking a personal reading, and there's a selection of personal readings there. If there's something that maybe you want to suggest, if you want a reading, something different than that, you can also ask me about that, and you can book a consultation and talk about tarot if you want. There's a page on Red Snake Medicine, which is my name for my shamanic healing business, and you can take a look at shamanism. It's all about it. It's on that page as well. And yeah, so take a look at my website. It's a work in progress. I started it in 2020, and I've been just kind of adding to it ever since. And it's me and sort of my journey of my healing journey. So in today's reading, we're going to look at something that's very important for your own healing journey, and that is looking at a pattern that is showing up for you right now that needs healing. Oftentimes we have things that are buried, memories, big emotions that are buried in our shadow and in our unconscious that need to come up for healing. And one of the ways that it does is there's something, you know, maybe that happened to you when you were younger, something traumatic, and you know, that involves a lot of big emotions that we couldn't handle when we were younger. And so what happens, it's a way of sort of the universe getting us to know, you know, telling us, listen, you've got this pattern that's showing up in your life because it needs healing. It keeps repeating and repeating, and you're wondering, why does this thing keep happening to me? Or you know, anything, could be anything in your life that you've seen over and over again. It's like, why is this happening to me? And why do I keep, you know, inviting the same types of people into my life, these toxic people, and they're doing the same thing to me. They're rejecting me. They're, you know, dumping on me. They're doing this or that. Because it's a pattern, and you have to look at your shadow in the unconscious and say, okay, where does this come from? You know, when did this start? How did this happen? And so that's what we look for in part 2 is your shadow, and that's what needs healing. And if you're not familiar with shadow or shadow work, I have a really good video in my description box below, and it's called Facing Your Shadow, and that'll really help you with how to do shadow work. And I put it together myself, and it's all based on how I do my own shadow work. And then in part 3, I'm going to ask for some advice from the tarot. And oftentimes when we're on this healing journey, we don't know where to start, right? I can tell you where the pattern is. I can tell you what needs healing. But then it's like, okay, well, I don't know how to heal this. And so what the tarot is going to do, it's going to take something that you need to focus on. It could be one single emotion. You know, it's going to be something specific for you that you need to do or focus on. And that's what's going to come out for you. So it's going to help you. It's not a magic pill, because this is a process. You know, healing is a journey. It's a process. And then I will offer you a playlist or a video on the same kind of to help you out with that. All right. And that's going to come from my other channel, my other YouTube channel called Carole Cares. All right, so let's go. Starting out with the Curious Travels deck. And then I'm going to clarify it with the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. So let's start off with a pattern. Virgo, that's showing up in your life for healing right now. One card, please. I love these cards. They're squeaky and they just shuffle. I don't know if you can hear the squeak. Oh, there it is. I've seen this card about 3 or 4 times now. It's the Four of Swords in my readings today. Yeah. And what aspect from your shadow is driving this pattern right here? One card, please. Ooh, 3 of Swords in reverse. So far, you have 2 swords. And what advice does the tarot have for you to begin to heal this pattern? The Knight of Wands. I had to look at the little picture. So you have a knight. Knights have been showing up as well. All right. Let's have some clarifiers for this. The Four of Swords. Tell me more about the Four of Swords. You have the Death card. 2 powerful cards, and the Ten of Swords here. The Three of Swords. Couple cards. Oop. Yeah, a lot here. All right, so not sure the order of these, and I think they're all meant to be here. So you have the Temperance card, the Chariot card in reverse, the Nine of Swords in reverse, and the Queen of Cups in reverse. Under the Three of Swords. So there's a lot of clarifiers around this Three of Swords, which is this pain. Something's coming up, this pain from childhood, and we're going to get to know, we're going to find out what that is. Knight of Wands. It was the Seven of Wands that was peeking out there. That fell out, but we're going to see what the Knight of Wands is all about. All right, so you have the Six of Pentacles and the Star card in reverse. So, I like to look at your this deck and point out some major arcana cards here because you have a few of them. You have the Death card, first of all, which is really important in your what's coming up, what pattern. Talking about your pattern. Death card showed up a few times for people, and the Four of Swords I've seen as well. And I like to say that because when I have a card or two that shows up in all the readings, it's like, oh, this is sort of a theme I'm dealing with this month. And so you have, in your shadow, you have the Temperance, the Chariot. Again, 2 powerful universal forces here that are coming into play for you. Yeah, this month. And then you have the Star card, which is a beautiful card that you end off with. So nice to see that Star card in there. Let's start off the pattern right now, Virgo. So you're starting off with the Four of Swords. You know, it almost looks like this particular individual. I just looked at this card a second time. It looks like she's got that sword coming right at her face, and she's just staring at it, right? It's almost like she's mesmerized by this, this sword. But as I was doing that myself, I almost like when I was trying to look at it, I felt like a pain right here, and it was like this confusion in my head. So, you know, I don't know, is that what's happening to you? I mean, the Four of Swords is about taking time out for you, taking time out to heal. I don't know, maybe you're somebody that's been running, you've been distracted, and you're needing some time. This is a card that says you need some time. You need to carve out some time for you. So I'm wondering, you know, why haven't you taken time out for yourself? I know Virgo as a sign can be a sign of perfectionism. They can really be perfectionists. And if we are a perfectionist, oftentimes we keep ourselves busy. I mean, it's different. It's hard being a perfectionist because you're always trying to make it perfect, and it's not ever going to be perfect in your mind. And so I don't know if I'm bringing up something here for you, but there's like, you need this time. You're needing time to stop and to get still. And then as a clarifier, you have a Death card and then the Ten of Swords. There's something, this Death card refers to something in your life or someone in your life that needs to go. What needs to go? Is it the whole perfectionist thing? Is it the whole you trying to distract yourself? And like, why do you need to slow down? What is it you need to see? Actually, I'm going to switch that. I'm going to say you need to slow down because there's something you need to see. You know, and I think you spend a lot of your time keeping busy, keeping distracted, because you don't want to see this. The next card is the Ten of Swords here. And the Ten of Swords speaks about, swords are about our mental thoughts, our mental thought patterns. And so oftentimes when we're young, we're told things by people around us. You know, what are the things that you tell yourself that are you're spinning about? For example, if you are that perfectionist, that just seems to be coming up here, but it could be something else. But like, what are the things you're hearing? You're not good enough. You'll never do this right. You can't do this. Like, what are the things you're hearing that you're really spinning in your head? So you've got a lot of spinning going on in your head. You're keeping yourself distracted. Busy, 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 busy. Avoiding, avoiding, avoiding. But look what it's done to you. Look what those things in your head has done to you. It's done you in. Like the spinning, it's like, okay, your head needs a rest. And maybe this is a pattern of yours where you exhaust yourself with all this spinning in your head and all these, you repeat these same things over and over in your head. And the sad part about it is it's not true. It's all lies. It's things people told you about yourself. But I think you believe them. And I know you believe them because this is what it's done to you. And so, where does this all come from? You have a big story here. And we're going to go look in your shadow right now. It's like, what's sitting in your unconscious? What's in here about your childhood, your adolescence, where something would have happened to you. People treated you a certain way. People told you certain things. And this is where the pain comes from. I told you had pain here that we needed to get to. And so you have this pain that you are pushing away, pushing down, by keeping busy, by spinning in your head. And you're being called to, you know, you need some rest, but it's like, I can't get still. I can't get still, because if I get still, guess what you're going to feel? Is pain. This is what you need to feel. And until you feel it, you're going to keep on spinning. You're going to keep on spinning in your head and telling yourself all these lies that people told you when you were younger. and keeping busy, busy, busy. So what's this pain? Where does it come from? We start off with the Temperance card, and then you got the Chariot right behind it. There's two powerful major arcana cards. So the Temperance card talks about a middle ground. A middle ground. Temperance card talks about this angel dipping their toe into water. Water is all about emotions. And I think when you were younger, you tried to dip your toe in those emotions. You tried to show your emotions. You weren't allowed. And so whatever happened to you, or whenever you would have showed any of your emotions, it was like, no, you're not allowed, right? And it's funny because, not funny, but I forgot to say that this is in reverse, this Three of Swords. And so in an upright position says, you have a lot of pain. When it's buried, it's you have a lot of pain. You had a lot of pain, but you weren't allowed to feel it. And the Temperance card just said, you weren't allowed to use your emotions. You were told, put those emotions away. And so you see what happens is when you're being told to stop, spinning in your head, to stop being so distracted, to get grounded into your body, you need to take some time so you can feel these emotions. You were told as a child, no, you can't feel those emotions. You're not allowed. And there's a lot of pain around the fact that you weren't allowed. You weren't allowed probably to feel your anger. Put that away. You cried maybe a lot when you were a kid. Well, you're a damn crybaby. And so you see what happens. It's like anywhere you turn to try to look for help, to get help, to use your emotions. Because we're supposed to, even as a baby, oh my God, I just read something the other day. It came to me as I'm talking to you. I used to read this book when I was raising my kids. It was called, I think, Farbers or something. It was all about your baby needs to cry it out when they're younger, when they're in their crib in the middle of the night and they're hungry. You need to let them cry it out. And then I read the other day, is like, who in the hell ever invented that, where you just let a baby who's completely helpless cry their lungs out? And I felt so bad. It was like, oh my God, I did that. I let my baby cry. And now they're so annoyed. So it's just, I just thought of that. Like, you yourself, where you were younger and you had all these emotions. Maybe you were born into this world with a blueprint of somebody that was very emotional. I don't know. And then so you use these emotions and it's like, no, you're not allowed to. It's like you're not allowed to show your pain. It's like you put that away. And so you learn to just, the Chariot card comes out here. And the Chariot card is in reverse. And so this really explains, I think the Chariot card talks about movement. And some readers will interpret this as physical movement. But to me, the Chariot card talks about controlling, using your willpower to control something. And this is really, the Chariot card is saying, all along you've been using your willpower to control something. And then usually if it's not in the shadow, it's about, a card that says you need to go inwards to get your answers. This is in reverse here. And so I think at a very young age, you learned how to control your own emotions. And your answer to controlling these emotions was bury them. And you also learned to bury your memories, right? And I'm wondering if, like, this is a card of somebody waking up in the middle of the night and having like bad dreams, or maybe you're waking up from a nightmare. I associate this card with memories. But because it's in your shadow, this is about your childhood, your adolescence. I'm wondering if you're someone that woke up when you were younger with nightmares, right? Just nightmares of things that are happening, or just, just someone that's just scared but not allowed to tell anybody, not allowed to experience any emotions. I don't know if I've ever read a reading like this where it's so obvious that you were raised in an environment where you weren't allowed to touch your emotions. And the last card, I don't mean to, like, it's just all right here. The last card that comes out is the Queen of Cups. I want to show you the Queen. She is she's the feminine side to us. We all have a feminine and a masculine side. Has nothing to do with our gender. It's just that we have both those two sides. And so your feminine side, and in particular, she has the cup in her hand. She's the feminine that is not afraid to feel her emotions. She has all that water at the bottom of her. That represent your emotions. Talk about the Temperance card, everything about your emotions, right? Queen is not afraid to feel her emotions. That's your feminine side. That's buried. So there's a lot of anger behind there where you're not allowed to feel your emotions. This whole reading is about, you have a lot of pain around not being able to express your emotions. And so that's why when you try to get still with this Four of Swords, and there's just not one party that wants to get still, because when you get still, people think that when you ground and you get still, you're going to be all zen, but it's the opposite. When you ground and get still, that's when all of this pain is going to start to come up. It's the pain that you've been avoiding for so long. And so what does the tarot say? What's the guidance? Well, you have the Knight of Wands. The Knight is what I call a freedom fighter. There's 4 of them in the deck. And the freedom fighters are the part of you, usually it's an adolescent part. We all have this. It wants freedom. It wants freedom to express themselves. You want freedom to be able to express your emotions. And there's one in particular here. If you are not allowed to express your emotions when you were younger, that's what you were given. You were given your full 10 of cups of emotions when you were younger, when you were born into this world. And you had people that said, no, you are not allowed. Do you know how much anger is under the surface? Do you know how angry you are? But you're not allowed to use your anger. So, there's a hell of a lot of anger right here. Not only anger, but because the 6 of Pentacles comes out here, but because you weren't allowed to use your anger. Here's the 6 of Pentacles. Here these people are begging for money. And they're only going to ask how much they think they're worth. He says, what do you want? He's got a scale. And he's going to weigh out. You say 3 coins, he's going to weigh out 3 coins. He's not going to give you 4. You only think you're worth 3. Right? So this card's a real card of unworthiness. This is my unworthiness card. And I think for a long time you've been, if you're not allowed to be able to use your emotions when you're younger, you don't matter. You don't fucking matter. And when you go sit down, I'm going to give you a playlist on anger. And in that playlist, there is a video on journaling from your anger. And I talked to you about prompts, writing prompts, because that's what you first start writing with. That's the first sentence you use. You can write it out or you can type it out. I want you to sit down. And I want you to get angry. You can start to say, I fucking don't matter. Or you can say, fuck off, everyone. Pick one of those, whichever one you like. Because there's a lot of anger in you. And you need to ground that anger. It wants to come out. Because when you learn to ground your anger, because maybe you're somebody that, gets angry at the wrong people at the wrong time. It's because you've got this ungrounded anger that needs to get grounded. And that grounded, once you start to learn how to ground your anger, you learn how to ground yourself. You start writing. You write. You spew out all that anger you have inside of you. Don't ever stop. Because there's a lot of people that you need to get angry with. We did say that there's something that has to go. And I'm going to say, I think this anger's got to get out of you. Not go, but you're going to use it. You're going to use it to get your power back. It is the most healing emotion. It's going to bring change in your life. And here's the healing card for you. It's in reverse. It's the Star card, right? Now, the only reason why this person is healing on this card is because they've become vulnerable. And because they've decided to dip their toe into the water again and start to feel some of those emotions. You had the Temperance card here. Look how similar these two cards are. What are they both doing? They're both dipping their toe. This is in your shadow. You weren't allowed to dip your toe and feel those emotions because water's all about emotions. And right now, this was in reverse for you. You turn this card around. You start dipping your toe just a little bit at a time. You start opening up that Pandora's box a little bit at a time. If it gets too much, you close it. Think of it as a faucet. Open it up a little bit. Gets too much, you close it. But don't forget to keep going back because you've closed them all down now because you learned to do that when you were younger. So I'm going to leave you with your anger playlist. I want you to have compassion for yourself, Virgo, for what you're working through. This is a very difficult journey, the healing journey, but it's the most important one in your life. And so take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye-bye.